The Best Way to Explain It. Episode 8. All right, welcome back to The Best Way to Explain It, the podcast that some might call the banana-flavored Laffy Taffy of podcasts.
That's so insulting that whoever's saying that needs to leave.
Well, I've met people that really like them.
And those people should be locked up in an asylum.
Well, agreed, but I don't know. They're really bad though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The banana flavored and the banana flavored runts. You remember those?
Those are hard candies, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and they're like
shaped like bananas.
Right.
Both of those candies need to leave.
That is agreed. But not candy corn.
But not candy corn. That stuff's delicious.
All right. Well, I'm just going to take your word for it. Okay.
Oh, how's your week been going, man?
Man, it's been a week. I'm getting into the busy time of year, and so looking forward to getting this year done. And yeah, no kidding. Wow, low energy today.
Yeah, it seems like we're both tired. Like we just had some weird time change or something go through.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's what I'm going to blame it on, the time change.
The extra hour of sleep that we both probably stayed up an hour longer than usual to play video games.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this. Do you sleep well on when daylight savings time ends? I never sleep well on either time change just because I have this thing where I'm afraid that my clocks aren't going to change and then I'm going to be late for everything I'm supposed to be there for the next day. So
yeah, I have trouble sleeping on the one where we lose an hour of sleep.
Oh, in spring.
Yeah, in spring. But in the fall, it doesn't really change much. I basically just set my clocks ahead of time, and then I stay up an hour later, and I get really tired, and then I pass out.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I always have trouble sleeping on these days, but should be good tomorrow because I'll be super tired and try to sleep nice.
There you go.
But you know what class? I could use?
Oh, what could you?
A nice cigar.
Nice cigar.
To
that
put me to
nice.
Bed.
That does sound very nice.
But
do they put you to bed?
I don't know. Sometimes they make me, my head gets a little, the nicotine buzz.
Yeah.
If I'm smoking a big one, sometimes it's it hits me really hard. And then I have to lay down because I don't feel very good. But
yeah. If I smoke cigarettes, I have trouble falling asleep. If I smoke cigars, it's not as bad, but it still kind of sucks to get to sleep.
But you have to brush your teeth.
Yeah, otherwise you wake up tasting tobacco. And even if you do brush your teeth, you still wake up tasting like tobacco.
Oh yeah, no, it's kind of rough.
Yeah, but totally worth it.
Yep.
Well, I'm guessing you're trying to introduce us into the topic. That
was my attempt. Yep.
Yeah, since it's gonna be a long one again.
Yep. So, say I wanted to smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
What do I do? Like, what if I don't know anything about tobacco? Is there anybody who could help me with that?
Oh, Scott.
Might be.
Have I got the show for you?
I'm so glad you didn't bust into Veggie Tales right there.
I did that earlier this week with my girlfriend, I think.
Really?
And she laughed pretty hard at it.
And now you guys are separated?
Yeah. I'm newly single.
That's a bummer.
Just kidding.
Hey.
Just kidding.
All right. Tell us about tobacco.
All right. We'll talk about tobacco. And we're going to start off with history, but I'm going to do a little disclaimer. Tobacco smoking is bad for you. but sometimes you still do it. So if you're going to do it, you might as well do it the right way.
Right. Yeah,
And
just
this is what this is about.
disclaimer, we both smoke cigars on occasion. I guess you've smoked cigarettes. I don't think I've ever smoked a cigarette.
Yeah.
It's not something I try not to do it often just because, the health risks associated with it. But yes, it is something I sometimes do. Guilty as charged.
Boom.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. This could kick off an entire spectrum of like the best way to explain it, vice.
Yeah, actually my mom had that idea.
Yeah. Well, and I've been floating that idea around. So if you guys want to hear it, I know we have a suggestion from Drew to do alcohols and the different types of alcohols. So I'll probably do that. If you want to learn about anything else that might be like gambling or something that might be considered a vice, that'd be cool. I'm not going to explain heroin just because I don't really support the use of that. So
neither do I.
Stay away from that.
Yep.
Kiddos.
But if you want to learn about those, go to thebestwaytoexplainit.com/suggestions and suggest it to us.
True.
And if you suggest heroin, get help.
we could do an illegal drugs episode and kind of explain some of those maybe. In
weed.
That light. Yeah.
Weed, bro.
Weed, bro. Wait,
right.
we could have an episode like that, but I think we should get started.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right.
So like a lot of my explanations, I start out with the history of tobacco. I've got a lot of history, and I don't know if you guys want to hear all of the history just because it tends to repeat itself. But anyway.
And it's also written by the victors.
Oh my.
All right, go.
So the history of tobacco begins with Christopher Columbus and the Native Americans. It's believed that tobacco began growing in the United States as early as 6000 BC, or as early as 1 BC, Native Americans began using tobacco in many different ways, including religious and medicinal practices. So it started out as this very pure leaf. They were just smoking the leaves or using them as medical wraps. And then on October 15th, 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue and was offered dried tobacco leaves as a gift from the American Indians that he encountered. Soon after, sailors brought tobacco back to Europe, and it spread like wildfire. Apparently, I think it's a 1 ounce packet of tobacco seeds contains over 300,000 seeds.
Wow.
Somewhere around there. Yeah. The seeds are extremely small, and it just grows like nothing else. At this point in time, the Europeans believed, just the same as the Native Americans, that tobacco could cure almost anything from bad breath to cancer. So a little bit of irony there.
Have they ever smelled anybody that smoked tobacco?
Well, some of the tobaccos smell good.
Right, but not on your breath.
Like on your breath, yeah. I feel that's kind of weird. Have you ever smelled someone's breath who had been chewing?
No.
Yeah. Like you can definitely tell they haven't been using breath mints, but it smells like oddly minty. Okay. At least the new chewing tobacco, not just like pick up a tobacco leaf and chew it.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder if they make tobacco flavored gum. Oh, well, I guess like the Nicorette or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's like mint flavored. It just delivers nicotine to you.
Right.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure what they flavored it as.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. In 1571, a Spanish doctor named Nicolas Menardis wrote a book about the history of medicinal plants of the New World. In this, he claimed that tobacco could cure 36 health problems. Just in case you want some 1571 medicine. Smoking is just for you.
There you go.
In 1588, a Virginian named Thomas Harriot promoted smoking tobacco as a viable way to get one's daily dose of tobacco. The daily dose that you needed back then. It's on the food pyramid somewhere.
Right. Just in front of the grains.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, he died of nose cancer because it was popular then to breathe the smoke out through the nose. And during the 1600s, tobacco was so popular that it was frequently used as money. Tobacco was as good as gold.
Hang on, nose cancer?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
It's a thing.
Huh. So like if they caught it early, could you get your nose, removed and amputated or whatever? And
maybe we need to do a nose cancer best way to explain it episode.
Well, that's probably what happened to Lord Voldemort. He got nose cancer, and so he got his nose removed.
Maybe he's a cancer victim, and he's just blaming the world and the wizards on his problems.
I think that makes Voldemort a much more compelling and
relatable,
unique,
relatable
character. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He was the good guy.
I never thought of linking Voldemort and his evil ways with tobacco.
He was just fighting back against big tobacco.
Probably.
Yep.
Probably. This was also a time when some of the dangerous effects of smoking tobacco were being realized by some individuals. In 1610, Sir Francis Bacon noted that trying to quit the bad habit was difficult. In 1632, 12 years after the Mayflower arrived on Plymouth Rock, it was illegal to smoke publicly in Massachusetts, although this had more to do with the moral beliefs of the day than health concerns about smoking tobacco. In 1760, Pierre Lorillard establishes a new company in New York City to process tobacco, cigars, and snuff. Today, P. Lorillard is the oldest tobacco company in the United States.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. So they were like pre-Revolutionary War tobacco company.
You know it.
That's crazy.
So, in 1776, during the American Revolutionary War, tobacco helped finance the revolution by serving as collateral for loans the Americans borrowed from France. Over the years, more and more scientists began to understand the chemicals in tobacco, as well as the dangerous health effects smoking produces. In 1826, the pure form of nicotine is finally discovered, and soon after, scientists conclude that nicotine is a dangerous poison, which is kind of interesting. Like, nicotine is just the addictive thing. It doesn't do anything to your body.
Right. It keeps you putting the other really poisonous stuff into your body.
Yeah. In 1836, New Englander Samuel Green stated that tobacco is an insecticide, a poison, and can kill a man. So obviously he was hung, right?
Right.
I mean, how dare they?
Yep.
I don't know that for a fact. I'm just making that up for anyone checking me.
Let's be honest, that's most of what this show is.
Yeah, true.
So,
in 1847, the famous Philip Morris is established, selling hand-rolled Turkish cigarettes. Soon after, in 1849, J.E. Leggett and Brother is established in St. Louis, Missouri. The company has recently settled a bunch of big lawsuits stemming from cigarette campaigns and advertising and stuff. Cigarettes.
So, like Don Draper.
Yeah, Don Draper and his famous Why I Quit Tobacco.
Yep. Bold strategy.
Yeah. Cigarettes became popular around this time when soldiers brought it back to England from the Russian and Turkish soldiers. Cigarettes in the U.S. were mainly made from scraps left over after the production of other tobacco products, especially chewing tobacco. Chewing tobacco became quite popular at this time with the cowboys of the American West. In 1875, R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, better known for Reynolds Wrap, was established to produce chewing tobacco. It wasn't until the 1900s that the cigarette became the major tobacco product made and sold. Still, in 1901, 3.5 billion cigarettes were sold, while 6 billion cigars were sold. In 1902, the British Philip Morris sets up a New York headquarters to market its cigarettes, including a now famous Marlboro brand. Along with the popularity of cigarettes, however, was a small but growing anti-tobacco campaign, with some states proposing a total ban on tobacco. The demand for cigarettes grew, however, and in 1913, R.J. Reynolds began to market a cigarette brand called Camel.
That's like what the doctors used to say was healthy.
Yeah. Yep.
And I only knew that because I think my grandpa smoked Camel. He was a doctor.
Yes, the healthy cigarette.
Yep.
I kind of wish they did have some sort of healthy cigarette.
But they're filtered now.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
So, therefore, they're fine.
Yeah. Good point.
Mm.
So, the use of the cigarette exploded during World War I, 1914 to 1918, where cigarettes were called the soldier's smoke. By 1923, Camel controlled about 45% of the U.S. market. In 1924, Philip Morris begins to market Marlboro as a woman's cigarette that is as mild as May. To battle this, American Tobacco Company, maker of the Lucky Strike brand, otherwise known as the Madman brand,
right,
begins to market its cigarette to women and gains 38% of the market. Smoking rates among female teenagers soon tripled during the years between 1925 to 1935. Got to get them while they're young.
Right.
And in 1939, the American Tobacco Company introduces a new brand, Pall Malls, which allows American Tobacco Company to become the largest tobacco company in the U.S. During World War II, cigarette sales were at an all-time high. Cigarettes were included in the soldiers' C rations, which I actually read about in Band of Brothers, and sometimes they would trade their cigarettes for like cakes and stuff from local companies because everyone wanted the American cigarettes. Moving on, the tobacco companies sent millions of cigarettes to the soldiers for free, and when the soldiers came home, the companies had a steady stream of loyal customers. Smart marketing. During the 1950s, more and more evidence was surfacing that smoking was linked to lung cancer. Although the tobacco industry denied such health hazards, they promoted new products which were safer, such as those with low tar and filtered cigarettes.
See, I was right.
Yep. In 1952, P. Lorillard markets its Kent brand with the Micronite filter, which contained asbestos, healthy.
Exactly.
This was fortunately discontinued in 1956. In 1953, Dr. Ernst L. Winders finds that putting cigarettes tar on the backs of mice causes tumors. In 1954, R.J. Reynolds introduces the filtered Winston brand.
Hang on, so this guy, this Winders guy, he's like, I wonder what would happen if I put this the cigarette tar on the backs of these mice.
I'm sure there was something going on, like someone was a heavy smoker and like got lung cancer or something, because they could find that out at that point,
No, he just had a few too many one night. He's like, dude, what if we put this tar on the back of these mice?
He was like, better those mice than us, right?
Science is weird.
I don't know. Science is weird.
I just look at these experiments and I just don't know why they come about, but
yeah,
they do, and they provide very, very good knowledge to each of us.
I am curious about that, but I didn't really go into it. I just kind of took it as, hey, some scientists felt like discovering something.
That's fair.
Yeah. So he found out that it causes tumors, and then in 1954, R.J. Reynolds introduces the filtered Winston brand. In 1956, Reynolds introduces the Salem brand, which is the first filter-tipped menthol cigarette. Smooth. In 1964, the Surgeon General's report on smoking and health came out. This report assisted in allowing the government to regulate the advertisement and sales of cigarettes.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, government regulation. Boo. Anyway, the 1960s in general was a time when much of the health hazards of smoking were reported. In 1965, television cigarette ads were taken off the air in Great Britain. In 1966, those health warnings on cigarette packs began popping up. In 1968, Bravo, a non-tobacco cigarette brand, was marketed, made primarily of lettuce. It failed miserably. I am really curious about those too. Like,
Now
what would a lettuce cigarette be like?
Now they're smoking the devil's lettuce.
Oh no. Because of the negative press about tobacco, the major tobacco companies begin to diversify their products. Philip Morris begins to buy into the Miller Brewing Company, makers of Miller Beer, Miller Lite, and Red Dog Beer. They moved on to be Miller Coors now, so Coors Light is in that category. R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company drops the tobacco company in its name and becomes R.J. Reynolds Industries. It also begins to buy into other products such as aluminum. So Reynolds Wrap, that's where that comes from again. American Tobacco Company also drops tobacco from its name, becoming American Brands Incorporated. In 1971, television ads for cigarettes are finally taken off the air in the U.S. Cigarettes, however, are still the most heavily advertised product, second to automobiles. In 1977, the first national Great American Smokeout takes place. In 1979, the Surgeon General reports on the health of consequences of smoking for women. This is in light to the increasing number of women who are taking up the bad habit. Some attribute it to the slick ad campaign of the Virginia Slims brand. You've come a long way, baby.
Okay, so Virginia Slims, that's in Mad Men as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that pretty much all of this history of cigarettes I just know from Mad Men.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
The Lucky Strikes and the Virginia Slims.
Yep. And then because the issue is that, well, I guess, are you going to talk about how you're not allowed to advertise cigarettes anymore, like on TV at least?
Yeah. I didn't get into that.
Okay.
But we could talk about it a little bit.
Well, I mean, that just happened. I mean, because you're not allowed to show like smoking as an advertisement anymore.
Yep.
On TV, and so that's kind of why you see a lot more alcohol rather than tobacco.
Yeah.
So, but okay, another thing. What was this Great American Smokeout?
The Great American Smokeout. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure it was it's a protest where, here, we'll go to tobaccofree.org and see. It's always on the Thursday 1 week before Thanksgiving.
Oh, it's coming up.
Yeah, it's a protest against cigarettes. And that's about all I can tell you. Let's see here. I can't find anything really.
That's fine.
On the first website.
You can move on. That's fine. I was just curious.
Yeah. Let me check one more.
No, it's fine.
I think it's like they just protest somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not. I'm not seeing anything.
That's fine.
Really easy to locate. We need a producer that just looks stuff up.
Hey, if anybody wants to,
anyone willing to work for $0 an hour.
Yep,
and a crisp high five.
Yes, 2 crisp high fives.
Two crisp high fives.
Yeah, that would be like you said, pay absolutely nothing. But
hey, at least they're not paying into it. So
right,
yeah, they're technically making more than us right now.
Yep, true.
Oh well. Getting back to it. During the 1980s, there were many lawsuits filed against the tobacco industry because of the harmful effects of its products. Smoking becomes politically incorrect, with more public places forbidding smoking. In 1982, the Surgeon General reports that secondhand smoke may cause lung cancer, and then smoking in public areas was soon restricted afterward, especially at the workplace. In 1985, lung cancer became the #1 killer of women, beating out breast cancer. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I know. Is that? I wonder if that's still the case.
Yeah, I bet it's gone. It's flipped back, just because not as many people smoke now.
Yeah,
but maybe. Philip Morris continues to diversify into other products. They buy into General Foods Corporation and Kraft Incorporated in 1985. R. Reynolds also diversifies, buying Nabisco, Oreos and all that jazz. And in 1987, Congress bans smoking on all domestic flights lasting less than 2 hours. So if you had a 2.5-hour flight, you're still good.
That's such an arbitrary amount.
Well, I'm sure it had to do with like nicotine addiction and stuff.
That somebody was going to get addicted on a flight longer than 2 hours? What?
No, like someone who is addicted and they need to smoke, if they can't go 2 hours, or like they could go 2 hours, but anything longer than that, they would need a smoke.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Seems to me like something the company could do, but that's whatever.
Yeah. Was that Congress did ban it. Okay.
Yep.
And then Ben & Jerry's, in 1990, Ben & Jerry's ice cream boycotts RJR/Nabisco and drops Oreos from its ice cream products.
Rip. Wow, that would have been amazing.
Yeah. During the 80s and 90s, the tobacco industry starts marketing heavily in areas outside the U.S., especially developing countries in Asia. Something popped into my mind, like a bunch of Asian countries are known for heavy smoking now.
Really?
Do you know about that at all? Maybe I'm just making that up, but I
think
it is kind of like a stereotype.
They have no way of knowing. If you're confident enough when you make something up, they'll eat it right up.
Yeah, exactly. Thus, most of the reports that I've written over the decades.
And most of these podcasts.
No worries, folks. These are all copy and pasted from the first Google search I find.
Yep.
Marlboro is now, in the 80s and 90s, considered the world's #1 most valuable brand of any product, with a value over $30 billion, which is kind of small compared to like some companies nowadays, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Me neither.
It depends how, I guess, you defined valuable brand. Like, how do you define the value of a brand?
Yeah.
Is that a company, or is that just a specific product, or I don't know?
I'm guessing like competition. So if you were talking about Coca-Cola, you would have Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So Coca-Cola is the #1 most valuable brand within that specific product.
Right.
Okay. So Marlboro was the most valuable of any product.
Gotcha.
Speaking of Coca-Cola, there was a battle between them and Marlboro as the #1 brand in the world. In recent years, there is growing evidence that the tobacco industry has known all along that cigarettes are harmful, but continued to market and sell them. And right now, I was going to do a Mad Men reference, but I mean, we've already made plenty.
We've done every single one. Cigarettes.
All the important ones, anyway. There's also evidence that they knew that nicotine was addictive and exploited this hidden knowledge to get millions of people hooked on the dangerous habit of smoking. With all this being said, I still occasionally enjoy a cigar or smoke some pipe tobacco out of my wooden pipe sometimes. The phrase "I smoke when I drink" is my fallback excuse for enjoying the occasional cigarette, but I tend to stay away from those when I'm drinking, even when I'm drinking. Company that I'm keeping can usually convince me to smoke without too much hassle, though. So if you give me a beer and then you hand me like a cigarette and walk outside, I'll probably follow you.
If I buy a $70 bottle of scotch and pour you a glass and say, "Hey, let's smoke cigars,"
yep,
you're probably down.
Oh, why do you have to tempt me?
Okay,
you're so evil.
So we have this history that you have done a fantastic job of summarizing for us. So can you tell me a little bit about a cigar? What exactly is it? How is that different from a cigarette? And what am I doing when I'm smoking a cigar? What am I doing to myself?
All right, you are having an incredible night out on the town or at your apartment on the deck outside. If you're smoking a cigar, that's what you're doing to yourself.
Okay.
The origin of it dates back to 10th century Mayans, who are shown smoking tobacco tied together with a string. And then through a little innovation, we come to the current cigar. I'm assuming most of you have seen a cigar or know what it looks like, and I'll get into like what it really looks like in a little bit. It's typically a large bundle of tobacco leaves rolled together, and there are 3 types of leaves on the cigar. You've got the filler, which is really what you're smoking. The wrap, which is the very outside. It's the best tobacco leaf of the bunch, and it's very special. We'll get into why that's special later. And then the cap is the end part that you cut before you smoke or light up and smoke the cigar. So like I said, the cigar filler is the actual smoke flavor that you taste while smoking a cigar. Depending on the type of filler, you can have a light-bodied or very heavy-bodied cigar. The wrapper is the best leaf, as I said, and it showcases the type and the intensity of the cigar. And we'll definitely get into wrappings later. There's a ton of information on that I found. A rule of thumb, though, is that the lighter wrapped cigars are lighter bodied, and then the darker wrapped cigars are heavy bodied. The cigar buzz, or the nicotine buzz that is associated with cigars, also tends to increase with the darker cigars in my personal experience. Now, you can probably debate, like, maybe one lighter cigar has more nicotine than a darker cigar, but overall, if you're smoking a darker cigar, you're going to get a pretty heavy buzz.
Okay. I've never really... I don't keep track of... Because it's always dark when I smoke cigars. Yeah. So I don't ever really keep track of how dark the cigar I get is. So yeah, maybe you're right. I mean, you probably are.
Probably. So then we'll move on to the cap of the cigar. As I said, it's what you cut off to keep. It keeps the cigar fresh, and it's glued onto it with a natural glue. I'm pretty sure. To make sure that it stays on, and it's very important that you keep that cap on your tobacco or on your cigar to make sure that your cigar stays together while you're smoking it. So to pick out your cigar, you want to do a ton of research. If you're a newbie, if you've been smoking for a while, you might be able to just pick one up and say, oh, maybe I like it, maybe I don't, and then smoke it and see. But
that's what I do, and I'm still a newbie.
Yep. I tend to stay in the light to medium range because I don't smoke very often, and the darker cigars tend to be the more I get a headache after, or I get a really big headache after smoking a super dark cigar, and some of them make me sick, so I don't really like the dark cigars.
But we do it anyways.
If you want to try, but don't think you want a big cigar, I'll discuss filtered cigars along with cigarettes later. I'm not really like trying to push cigarettes or anything on you, but I will discuss them a little bit. The big cigars I'm talking about deserve their own recognition because they are on their own level of incredibleness.
Right.
Yeah. So first, I'm going to talk more about the wrappings, or the colors of the wrappings specifically, which I referred to earlier, and we begin with the double claro, and then we'll move into, and then that's also called the candela. Wow, the struggle.
That was the most
that was
unclear
the
sentence you have ever said.
Okay, we're going to start out with the double claro. I couldn't tell if I wrote down both the light and the dark to say we were moving from the double claro down to the oscuro.
Oh no, I understand why. I'm just saying. I had
no
idea what you were talking about.
Kind of late when I wrote that sentence, I think.
That's fair. So the double claro and candela, those are two of the. Are these brands?
No,
or are they just?
They're the same. They're a type of cigar. They're a classification of the wrapping of the cigar.
Okay.
And it's the candela is what I'm going to call it. Is a light green wrapper produced through a quick drying process using heat that locks in the chlorophyll of the tobacco leaf. It was popular in the U.S. and was a point of amusement for Europeans because you were smoking this green cigar. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of them, but they're very unique.
Interesting.
If you ever stumble upon one, these will be the lightest cigar you find, I think.
Okay.
The Claro is a light tan color, most commonly achieved by growing in shade under cheesecloth tents, picking the plants early and air drying the leaves. This wrapper has little to offer in terms of flavor and allows the flavors of the filler to come out in the cigar. A Colorado Claro is light reddish brown, often grown in direct sunlight and given longer to mature before picking. Our fourth color is the Colorado. At the center of the color scale, these cigars are medium brown to brownish red and full flavored, though soft and subtle in their aroma. These wrappers are often grown in the shade.
So they're grown where we shall fight?
Yes, fight in the shade.
Okay, it's 300 reference in case you guys thought I'm just being stupid. Which, that's usually a pretty safe bet. But in this case, it was a legitimate reference. Yeah.
It's a art of manliness thing, too, for anyone that wants to check out how to be manly. The Colorado Maduro, moving on from the Colorado, is darker than the Colorado, but lighter than a Maduro. And it's used to distinguish the fifth color in the spectrum. I guess they wanted to have 7 colors, so they decided to make the Colorado Maduro.
Huh.
Yeah. So moving on to Maduros, if you've ever heard the term Maduro used, it signifies a very big cigar, or like a very rough cigar for someone who hasn't smoked it before.
It's like it's what the Army general popular. Smokes in the movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kinda. If you're talking about like size, we'll get into the sizes in a second.
Okay.
But Maduros begin our descent into the dark depths of the cigar color spectrum. This shade varies from deep reddish brown to nearly black. Maduro means mature in Spanish, which refers to the longer time needed to cure this color wrapper than wrappers that are lighter. Maduros are toasted in a pressure chamber or fermented longer in an above average heat. This lends much more flavor to the cigar. It tends to be mild in aroma and almost sweet in flavor. And then finally, our last color is the Oscuro, which is as dark can be. Leaves in the Oscuro category are achieved by leaving the leaves on the plant as long as possible and then fermenting them for an especially long time. Oscuro wrappers are very rough due to the fermentation and is sometimes referred to as black negro, or Spanish for black, or double Maduro.
Okay. So, in conclusion of the colors, we have from lightest to darkest, double Claro, or the Candela, then the Claro, then the Colorado Claro, then the Colorado, then the Colorado Maduro, then the Maduro, and then the Oscuro.
Nailed it.
Okay, so that's from lightest to darkest.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so we're going to move into the sizes of cigars now, and some of these will also be different shapes. We'll get into that in a hot second. We begin with the Corona, which is the benchmark size against which all other sizes are measured. Traditional dimensions of the Corona are 5.5 to 6 inches with a ring gauge of 42 to 44. For anyone looking for this type of cigar, the Monte Cristo No. 3 is a good example, and a pretty good smoke, too.
Okay, so a ring gauge, that's the diameter, I take it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like a 12-gauge shotgun versus a 20-gauge shotgun. Like,
okay.
It's a ring gauge.
Okay.
It's a specific way to measure round objects.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yep. The Petite Corona is a smaller version of the Corona at 4.5 inches. It's an excellent starting place for a beginner because you don't have to smoke it that long, but you still get to try out the taste and figure out how to light it and cut it and all that stuff, so you're not spending too much money while also being able to enjoy a cigar. Now we move into Churchills, which are, I like Churchills the best out of all of them, just because they're a little bit longer than the Corona at 7 inches and a little bit bigger with 47 ring gauge. Then we'll move into the Robusto, which is a short, fat cigar that has become the most popular cigar size in America. The size is 4 3/4 to 5.5 inches by 48 to 52 ring gauge. The Cohiba Robusto is a good example of this, but will smoke longer than the Petite Corona. A Corona Gorda is 5 5/8 inches by 46 ring gauge, but 6 by 50 are also commonly called Corona Gorda. So that's the fat Corona if you're speaking in Spanish.
Half Spanish. The double Corona is 7.5 inches to 8.5 inches by 49 to 52 ring gauge. These are very long. A very long smoking can be daunting for anyone that isn't experienced. But Mama didn't raise a quitter, so
yep. Just go block out about 2 hours of your schedule and smoke this.
Honestly, when I get cigars, I just get the biggest one that I can find.
Yep.
And just smoke it until
It's a good way to relax and just kind of slow your life down for a little bit because you can't really focus on anything else.
Gosh, but I get the biggest nicotine buzz after those.
Yeah, they hit you.
Yep.
All of this information that I'm giving you about the color and the size is coming from Cigar Aficionado, and they suggest the Hoyo de Monterrey Double Corona for this type of cigar. Moving into the Panatela, it's a long and thin at 5 to 7.5 inches with a ring gauge of 34 to 38. Cigars longer but still thin and similar gauge size are referred to as the Gran Panatela. So, longer Panatela.
Okay.
I'm educating them in the
wow,
Spanish.
You just said this was going to be tobacco. You didn't tell us you were teaching Spanish, too.
Oh, sí.
Wow, we just...
Puedo hablar español.
So much Spanish. El niño está debajo de la mesa.
Mis pantalones son en fuego. Están en fuego.
Oh, wow.
Perdón.
Okay. Well,
anyway, a Lonsdale is generally longer than a Corona, but thicker than a Panatela with a size of 6.5 inches by 42 ring gauge, or the Monte Cristo No. 1. These cigars all fall under the category of parejos, defined by their straight sides that are either round or box pressed. The box pressed are less common than the round ones, but I've seen them at my cigar shops that I go to. I haven't seen too many like weird shaped ones. All I've seen are the round and the square ones. So now you're wondering, like, what is a weird shaped one? So opposed to the parejos, we have figurados, which figured they have a unique shape to them. These begin with the pyramids, which have cut feet at the end of the cigar, just like the parejos that we've been talking about. That is lit before smoking, but instead of being rounded, the head, or the part that you cut before smoking, is tapered, which makes it treasured to cigar enthusiasts and aficionados because the complex cigar flavors meld in the mouth. An example of this is the Monte Cristo No. 2. Have you ever smoked a torpedo or a pyramid?
no, all of the ones I've smoked have been round.
Okay. So you've only smoked parejos.
Yep.
I've had a pyramid, and I've also had a torpedo, which is one of the next ones coming up. But before we stop there, or go ahead.
Did you notice what they? Did you notice this complex cigar flavors melding in your mouth? Did you notice that more?
I'm not super talented in tasting cigars.
Or
opposed
really
to, like, coffee.
podcasting.
Ouch. Going straight for it. I can taste a few things, but if you're going to tell me that, like, a Cuban cigar tastes like chocolate milk, I'm going to say, well, it might taste a little bit like chocolate, but mostly it tastes like tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell the difference between a dark cigar and a light cigar, but
Sure.
not like I can with coffees, where I can tell kind of where it came from or
Sure.
like what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our next figurado is the Bellicoso, which is a shortened pyramid at 5 to 5.5 inches with ring gauges in the low 50s. All these figurados are less structured than the Parejo type cigars. And typically today's Bellicosos are simply tapered Coronas or Corona Gordas. Torpedoes are a rare sight today, since the torpedo is a closed foot cigar, meaning there is a cap on the foot and the head. And I've never personally seen a true torpedo, so I'm going to refrain from commenting on like what you can do to find it. But Cigar Aficionado has an example of the Cuaba Millennium, which is really interesting. I kind of want to order some of these that they suggest just to see what they're like.
Try them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Along with the torpedo, the Perfecto has a closed foot and a bulge in the middle, but the head of the Perfecto is rounded like the head of a Parejo. The Partagas Presidente is an example of the Perfecto. These cigars can vary in length from 4.5 to 9 inches. And 9 inches is a monster of a cigar. Like 0.75 feet of cigar. You're just going to sit there and chill and smoke for like...
I'm getting a headache just thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm taken aback by anyone that would like want to sit around and smoke a cigar for that long.
Yeah.
But to each their own. Maybe someone out there listening to this show likes the Partagas Presidente or a similar long cigar like that.
Maybe they're listening to us while smoking it now.
Yeah,
In
true.
fact, maybe that's the only way they can listen to us.
Understandable. That's the only way I can listen to my own
Tough
voice.
but fair.
Yeah, tough but fair. All right, moving on to the Culebra is a unique shape for a cigar, which consists of 3 panatelas braided together and tied with a string. It is sold as one cigar, but the 3 parts are braided and smoked separately. A Culebra is hard to find, and 3 cigars is a bit much for the average human nowadays, so you should probably give Scott and I the other 2 just to be safe.
That sounds awesome.
Hey, you might
let
just
us
become
know.
our best friend.
Right, yeah. Hey, I'd be down.
Definitely. All right. Then the Diadema, it is enormous at 8.5 inches or longer. The head is tapered, though not to a complete point, and is usually 40 ring gauge. The foot of the cigar can be open or closed, and you should probably block out an entire afternoon if you're going to smoke one of these bad boys.
That's so incredible that they make cigars so big that you have to plan your entire day.
Yeah.
I'm going to be, no, sorry, honey, I can't watch the kids. I'm smoking my cigar from 1:30 to 4:45.
Well, I'm sure there are those people that like sit in their office and they like smoke a cigar all day while they're doing work at home or something.
Yeah.
I could see that. Or just someone who wants to chill at a cigar bar for hours on end and hang out with people.
Sure.
Either way, to each their own, as I've said. And that ends our size comparison. If there are other sizes out there, I don't want to know about them because I've already learned too much. Once you've found the cigar you wish to smoke, depending on either prior experience or some of the recommendations I've given, you need to learn how to cut and light your cigar. Cutting your cigar is very important as it can make or break even the best cigars. Make sure to cut on the very cap of the cigar, allowing the cap to remain somewhat intact, but allowing airflow through the cigar to smoke. To do this properly, you need a cutter. And there are single, double V scissors or sharp knife cutters, or if you're in dire need, your thumbnail. Please don't use your thumbnail. It will ruin your cigar, undoubtedly. Unless your thumbnail is ridiculously long, in which case, still find a cutter. Don't be weird. Cigar Aficionado and I suggest the double blade, as it is the easiest to control and get a clean cut. Honestly, on a podcast, I'm not going to begin to explain what all this looks like, so you'll have to check out a YouTube video to really like figure out what cutting your cigar looks like. It's difficult to measure, but if you can imagine 2 millimeters of your cap, that's all you need to cut off to get the perfect cut, according to some other research I've done. And since that's difficult to measure, take it as a grain of salt, cut off just a small piece of the cap end of your cigar and light it up. If you don't keep the cap in place, or else if you cut it too far down the cigar, it's going to unravel in your mouth and you're going to feel like you're eating your cigar instead
Happens to me way too often.
Yeah, it sucks. It's not fun because then you get a bunch of tobacco leaves in your mouth, and yeah. Mm-hmm. I want tobacco smoke, not tobacco leaves.
Yep.
So after cutting the cigar, you will need to light it. This works somewhat different from the cigarette siblings of the cigar, which are simply put close to a flame and lit during inhalation. A properly lit cigar begins with a marshmallow roasting technique, keeping the cigar above and near the flame. So you rotate the cigar and it heats evenly. You don't want an unevenly heated cigar. We don't want those pesky thermodynamics issues. And then we rotate it until there is a glowing ring all the way around the cigar's tip and the edges are thinly blackened. Now you will raise the unlit end of the cigar to your mouth and take the first puff. The embers should burn evenly while drawing. There are certain things you can do if this does not happen, like touching up the end with the flame or blowing the embers to create a smooth, completely rounded ash. I'd suggest just like holding it up to the flame, inhaling, and checking the end of it to see if you got it all, and then relighting it if you're having troubles. You don't want an unevenly lit cigar. I've had a few, and then you end up like smoking half of the cigar on the bottom and then half on the top is still there, and it just looks weird, and you look like an amateur, and you don't want to do that.
Don't look like an amateur.
So from everything that I've researched, they say use matches or a non-oil fueled lighter. Something really cool. I've never tried this, but they say cedar spills are the commonly used match to light your cigar if you really want to be a cigar aficionado, blah, blah, blah. Fancy words. And essentially those are just small strips of cedar that you light on fire, let the like chemicals or whatever you use to light those on fire out, and then you use that cedar fire to light your cigar. It burns a lot lower temperature and it adds flavor to your cigar because you're inhaling that cedar smoke too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
You're not inhaling cigar smoke, but you're like taking it in and you're tasting it.
Yeah.
You use matches that are non-sulfur, and if you have to use sulfur matches, which are typically the very small matches, you want to let that sulfur burn off and let the wood of the match burn, and you'll have to use a bunch of matches to get your cigar going. Just fair warning. Another and best way to light your cigar is a cigar lighter, which uses butane for fuel and a flame wide enough to easily light a cigar. I bought mine in Turks and Caicos, and it's really cool. It basically looks like a jet-fueled rocket is blasting off in my hand while lighting the cigar.
And you're instantly the coolest person there.
Yeah, until you run out of butane, which happens in like 2 days. So. Because you're going to end up playing with it a lot.
Yep.
As with most of these cigar lighters, it may take a small investment for a big difference in cigar lighting. Before learning these tricks, I lit my cigars like a cigarette and probably ruined most of them. And some of those were very expensive cigars. This is as deep as I feel comfortable getting into cigars because I just about told you everything there is to know about them. If you find any more information about them, let us know at thebestwaytoexplainit.com/suggestions, and we'll give you a shout out for correcting us, I guess.
Or actually what you can do is thebestwaytoexplainit.com/contact, I want to say.
Contact?
There's just a contact page.
Cool.
But if you just go to thebestwaytoexplainit.com and click on contact us, you can just send us an email that way. If you like the show, hate the show, just want
Yeah.
to tell us your deepest, darkest secrets, we're here for you. And
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
And other than contacting us, you can drop a rating and review. I think we only have one at the moment, so we
it's
need
awesome.
more. We need more from you guys. We love you because you're listening to us.
Well, I think love is I need to get there.
Do you have commitment issues with our
We just started
listeners?
this relationship 7 episodes ago.
I'm ready to dive in.
I love some of you, like my family.
Oh my.
Wow.
All
okay.
right.
Please tell us more about tobacco.
So, moving on from cigars, we're going to move into cigarettes, cigarillos, and filtered cigars. I've always had a joke, and it's kind of when in my inner monologue, I never get a chance to say it, so I finally took the chance now. And the joke is that cigarettes are the Folgers of tobacco, and they're used more as a functional tool like Folgers coffee than to enjoy the flavor. It's to maintain that nicotine addiction level usually. Now, I have said that I smoke them when I drink, and that's just a bad mind connection that goes on and a couple bad influences that get me to smoke them.
I am not one of them.
Yeah, but they can be fun if you're just looking for a quick reason to step outside and company won't let you go. You can just be like, hey, gotta go smoke. And then most of them will be like, ew, gross, and then you'll leave, and then you'll be like, yay, I'm outside.
Anyways.
The cigarettes tend to be addictive, and that's typically why I stay away from them. It leads to all the classic lung cancer and health effects because you're inhaling the tobacco, not just sucking it into your mouth and then blowing it out. That's why cigarette smokers are more likely to get cancer, but all tobacco smoking gives you cancer. Let's see here. So, for some examples of cigarettes I've smoked, Marlboro Reds and Golds and American Spirit Blacks. The American Spirit Blacks are some of the closest to cigar or pipe smoking cigarettes I've had, and they aren't favored for people who are addicted to them because they're super thick, like a cigar, and they are very expensive, and they taste delicious to me, but to regular smokers, they hate them. Speaking of flavors, though, we have cigarillos and filtered cigars. These are shaped like miniature cigars or cigarettes, respectively, and can be another way of introducing yourself to the world of tobacco. In fact, the first cigar I smoked was actually a cigarillo called Backwoods. I believe it was grape flavored. It smelled awful, but it tasted pretty good because it was flavored. And I stay away from those because they're dumb, and cigars that are actual cigars are better. And I like to get the most out of my smoke.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, filtered cigars are another story, and luckily I have the ability to resist smoking these, mostly because they aren't offered at very many places near where I live. And they're basically cigars packed as cigarettes, and due to legal reasons cannot be marketed as cigarettes, usually due to different tobaccos or additives in them. One reason is the clove filtered cigars. Those are just called blacks or black menthols, and they are flavored filtered clove cigars. They taste like Christmas, but they rip apart your lungs from the inside. So it's not an ideal way to intake something, and it's not very nice that they taste like Christmas because...
Well, if they taste like Christmas, then obviously they're good for you.
Yeah. Santa invented them.
Yep.
Just kidding. Flavored filtered cigars can be any flavor you want. I believe there's mojito flavored. There's just about anything. Some of my favorite filtered cigars are vanilla dreams. They taste like vanilla. They are smooth as a dream. That's why they call them that. And you should check these out if you've been intrigued by tobacco, but you don't really think you can handle the like real manly taste of tobacco.
Oh, like me.
Yeah.
Cool.
But you still smoke like regular cigars and stuff.
I hate it, but I do it to look cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Because no matter what you're doing, and okay, this might get me in a little bit of trouble, but it's the honest truth that no matter what you're doing, you look cooler with a cigar in your hand.
I remember my teachers in elementary school always saying that you don't look cool when you're smoking, or they'd be like,
they are lying.
That's so stupid. I'm like, have you ever seen some guy wearing a white t-shirt, a leather jacket, and not smoking a cigarette?
Right.
He's confused.
Yeah, no, like, they're not less cool because they're smoking a cigarette. Now, that doesn't mean you should, but it means you're cool.
Yes. Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
But don't smoke, kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay away from it, kids. Otherwise, you'll end up doing a way too long of a podcast about it.
Yep, and that's what nicotine addiction can do to you. One of the few health effects that we needed to mention.
It's that ends my cigarette, cigarillo, and filtered cigar. But I haven't mentioned pipe smoking, and this is above all my favorite way to consume smoking tobacco. It's just more personal, it's more meditative. It's smoking a pipe is a great way to meditate, and probably the reason philosophers and professors are typically pictured smoking pipes while thinking about new and interesting ideas.
Yes, that's right, kids. If you want to look cool, first, if you want to be manly, smoke a cigar. If you want to look cool, smoke a cigarette. And if you want to look smart, smoke a pipe.
You're going to get us in so much trouble, Scott.
That's just the honest truth. You can't arrest me for speaking truth.
All right.
Though, actually, you might be able to now.
Yeah. Smoking a pipe became something I did a couple times a month to clear my head and allow some unwinding to be done without having to think about my stressful internship or, the fact that I forgot to get coffee for my boss. Smoking a pipe requires a few things. It's not as easy as a cigar cutter and a cigar lighter and your cigar. It's a pipe tobacco, something to light the pipe with, and a tamper if you feel like getting the perfect tamp. And I'll get into that in a hot second. So the most important piece of pipe smoking is the pipe. It begins with corncob pipes and it ends with meerschaum pipes. It's a type of ceramic that holds up very well against heat. And it's also really cool because meerschaum colors with your tobacco. So the more you smoke out of a meerschaum pipe, the more it becomes like a dark brown color.
Oh,
it's
okay.
really cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So you can find some by Googling corncob or meerschaum pipes if you're interested.
Meerschaum. That's
meerschaum.
MEERSCHAUM.
Oh, I just common spelling, obviously.
Obviously.
I really enjoy a wooden one that I found in Turks and Caicos on vacation. In fact, I shared one with Scott because he was my bro.
Oh, is that? Do I have a meerschaum?
Yep. Or no, it's not a meerschaum.
No.
It's a wood pipe.
Just a wooden one. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Researching different shapes of pipes results in discussion boards about which smokes best. My suggestion is just start out with some corncob pipes that are shaped differently. Figure out what you like to smoke. Maybe you like a curved one. Maybe you like a straight handle / smoke stack area. I don't know what that's called. Stem. That's what I was thinking. And begin your discovery from there. I've used cheap corncob pipes before and enjoyed them, but they didn't perform like the Missouri Meerschaum pipes are reviewed as performing. So Missouri Meerschaum is a company who sells corncob pipes, but they age them in barrels for 2 years so that the cob is really hard, and it acts as a pretty good pipe for probably a year or so. Yeah, it's really cool. They're super cheap, about $10, and you can get a Missouri Meerschaum pipe. After finding your pipe, you need a tobacco. Tobaccos for pipes are sold in numerous smoke shops, and you can find some really good flavors at Jake's Cigars in Omaha or Lincoln, Nebraska for our local listeners. I use a classic black Cavendish or a butter rum. The butter rum I bought from Jake's, and then the classic black Cavendish I got from a Smokers Friendly liquor store. If you're somewhere near a Smokers Friendly, check out their selection of pipe tobaccos, and they also sell corncob pipes if you just want to like try a quick corncob pipe and see how you like it. Next, you'll need to pack your pipe. This is important to do correctly as it affects your overall smoke. An old adage that helps me to pack my pipe is to fill the pipe to the brim each time and repeat, first pack like you're shaking a child's hand, next pack like you're shaking a woman's hand, and then next pack it like you're shaking a man's hand. This has proven more useful than any other way I've been told to pack a pipe or learned via the internet to pack a pipe. Just find your own way and figure out how you like to smoke your pipe and pack it, and it should work. Basically, you're looking for a nice even pack all throughout the bowl, as opposed to the stem. It's where the tobacco is held. And then to test your pack, you need to test the draw on the pipe to make sure it feels as though you're drinking through a straw. If it feels like you're drawing too hard, or if you're like able to suck air straight through, then you can use a small nail to either clear out a pathway if it's too hard to draw the air through, or you need to pack it tighter if it just feels like there's air flowing through the pipe. Lighting the packed pipe is also important, as you need to perfect this to maintain a good pipe smoking ceremony. So there's really four important things: your pipe, your tobacco, your pack, and then your lighting. Although cigars and Zippos aren't a good... Cigars and Zippos. So Zippos use oil, and cigars and Zippos don't mix well together because the Zippo oil will affect the way your cigar smokes. But with a pipe, they actually make a specific special Zippo lighter for pipe smoking that allows you to hold it over your pipe without burning your finger. And any beginner trying to light a pipe would love to have one of these. I think they're only about $40, so if you're looking to like get into pipe smoking, definitely a good investment to get one of those pipe Zippos. Otherwise, lighting with a match or something is super difficult. After the charring light has gone out, I skipped over something. Sorry about that. First, to light the pipe, you have to do the charring light. The charring light requires you to hold the flame above the tobacco and char it by taking small puffs, about 12 to 20 puffs, very, very small, like very light, just, I don't know how to explain it. As if you were like yo-yoing the liquid in your pop at a restaurant through a straw.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Actually, I was about to make a comment that you said you didn't know how to explain it, and I said, well, you're on the best way to explain it, but I think you really had a nice little comeback there with that yo-yoing the pop through a straw analogy.
I mean, it works.
Sure.
It works for now. Would you have a better way of explaining that?
No.
No?
That probably makes sense. All
right. Well, if it doesn't make sense, too bad. You already made it this far. Might as well keep going. After you got to let the charring light go out, and then you tamp it down to make a nice caked layer of charred tobacco in the bowl of the pipe. And a beginner is going to suffer through this. I know I've suffered through it. It's just tough to do. That's probably the best reason to find a tamper to tamp down your cigar so that you're not touching the ash of the tobacco, but you can wash your hands pretty easily. And they're going to get messy with a pipe anyway because you're touching all the tobacco. After the charring light has gone out and been tamped down, you want to hold the flame above the tobacco and take 12 deep puffs of the tobacco. Don't inhale it, just deep puffs. So like fill your mouth with the tobacco smoke and then let it out 12 times and make sure there's a strong ember to keep the pipe lit. Beginners will have to relight the pipe multiple times before getting a good judgment of how to do this properly. I'm still not very good at getting my pipe lit. I just like to smoke it because it's fun. And it provides a different way to smoke a different kind of tobacco. After getting a strong ember, you can now enjoy the pipe and its wonderful mind-clearing magic. Just sit out on your porch and have a good time.
Read a good book.
Yeah, read a
Let's
good
do
book.
a podcast.
It really makes me feel rested and renewed after good pipe smoke, and it affords me the ability to go outside and soak in nature.
And smoke up nature.
Just don't use this as a social opportunity. Like, don't have a bunch of your friends over unless you all want to sit in silence trying to keep your pipe lit.
Oh, wow, that actually appeals to me quite a bit.
Yeah, I like it because I get to be alone and smoke, and that's kind of what pipe smoking is all about. It's all about thinking.
Yeah, think about it. Those pictures of philosophers, they're not with a bunch of other people. They're by themselves.
Well, that's probably because they're philosophers.
That's also true.
From two heavily invested philosophy guys. Well, this kind of ends the smoking tour that I've given you.
Wow. That's way more than I'll ever remember about tobacco smoking. Fortunately, we recorded this.
Yeah. So you can listen to it at thebestwaytoexplainit.com/8 if you ever need a reminder.
Yeah. Dude, that show notes page is going to be lit.
It is.
Okay, I hate that I used the word lit, but I thought it was appropriate for tobacco smoking.
There needed to be a longer pause before you said lit. Otherwise, people might just miss it. They might just think, oh, he's using that newfangled language those kiddos are doing.
That could be what they say, but...
I imagine all of our listeners are 80-year-old men. just with the way I described our listeners.
I doubt one of them is 80 years old, but, you know.
You never know.
Maybe so.
In the podcast. If they are, we're happy to have them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, is that... You got anything else you want to say?
I do not. You got any more questions for me?
No, not really. I just hope. Are you gonna put some of the pictures of like the shapes on the show notes? I think that probably would be helpful.
I'll link to the 3 articles on Cigar Aficionado that I pulled most of this information. They have pictures of each one and what they look like there, plus the description of them. If you feel like I didn't do a good enough job,
which is likely.
Well, I basically copied them, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
that's about it. Yeah.
All right. Sweet. Well, I don't have anything else to say.
Sweet. That's the best way to explain tobacco smoking.
Nice. Well, I guess thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.
Get learning.